Welcome everybody to another edition of New Japan 2004 here in TW 2020. Since it's been a little bit since we've been here, I'm going to go over the last big show to sort of reset things, and then I'll go over what's going to happen in this video, and then we'll go from there. So, at the last show, which was Dangerous Dream Night in 2004 in the beautiful Rikukugan in front of 11,500 people, we had kind of a disappointing show that was screwed up by a big main event, some people working in other places, but let's go over the show. So, we had Heat defeat El Samurai in a 64, we had Roderick Strong Curryman actually get a big win over Mono Collection AT and Koji Kanemoto in a 71. Then, because Katsuki Sasaki was working in All Japan that night, we had a Minoru Suzuki Open Challenge where Fujinami made his return, and Suzuki defeated him in a 66. We had Tenzan getting his revenge finally over Nakanishi in a 67. We had Fujita and Ishimori defeating Tiger Mask 4 and Motoro Inoue to retain the IWGP Junior Tag titles in a 61. We had Nagata defeating Barnett in a 77, which is, I think, the best match on the show. With Liger going to a time limit draw with the Ultimo Dragon in 30 minutes in a 72. Then after that match, we had Milano and Koji actually jump Dragon Liger in a 55 in a sort of shocking move here. Then we had Kodaka and Nagai shockingly defeat Tanahashi and Blue Wolf. Well, they beat Blue Wolf, so they didn't pin Tanahashi to win the IWGP Tag titles in a 71 in a very good match. So we had Nakamura defeat Chono, and then in the main event, Goldberg defeating Hashimoto to retain the IWGP title because they did not click at all, unfortunately. But then we had Nagata come out. Looks like he was going to make a big challenge. Then Nakamura came out to actually interrupt him. They argued, and then Tenzan rolled in the ring and attacked Goldberg to officially, basically announce him as a number one contender. But the interesting thing for this series of shows is that actually there's going to be basically two big shows in this video. There's going to be a big show, I think, about 2/3 of the way through the tour in Kobe, which is going to be where the Tenzan title shot is going to happen. But then we have another Dome show I forget the name of the place. Right, in the Osaka Dome in Osaka, which I totally just didn't look up. And that'll actually be our big show of the month, and that's going to be setting up. It's actually a bit of a crossover show, which I'll go over more fully, as it's also being sort of pushed as Chono's 20th anniversary show. In real life, Chono had a separate 20th anniversary show, but I figure in this version of reality, we'll just split them up, combine them together, and have one big show where it's Chono's 20th anniversary. And we'll see what that means. But also, it's a big dome show in another market away from Tokyo, so there's going to be some interesting people getting involved in the show, which you'll see when it happens. But anyway, so the big show is, as far as sort of the storylines, well, it's still storylines there. But we're going to start out with this first show from Korakuen Hall. And honestly, because we have two big shows, we'll probably be a little bit less we're worried about showing you guys big house shows. Might show one or two, but since with two big shows, it's probably just going to be mainly booking those two and setting everything up as far as that goes. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, here we go from beautiful Korakuen Hall. Let's get rolling with the actual show here. So then, in the opening match, which got a 33 because of the pre-show thing, we had Naruse and Yamamoto defeat Nago and Saito in 10:04 when Yamamoto, one of the Young Lions, wins over another Young Lion with the Texas Cloverleaf. This gets a 33. Saito gets a 33, Nago gets a 26, Yamamoto gets a 31, Naruse, the guy who's not a Young Lion here, and who's not also old like Saito, gets a 51. Not the worst match, but solid stuff. Gives Yamamoto a win and proves as he gets closer and closer to no longer being in line. A big solid one here in a tag match. Then we had Mana killing Akira Enzawa, another Young Lion, in 6 minutes with the Anhara driver. This just allows Mana to go over and look strong. He gets a 43, Enzawa gets a 29, this gets a 26 overall. Again, sort of you have to take these dings at the bottom of the show to build things up completely. Excuse me. And then we have our first big junior tag match of the tour, as in an 8-man tag match. Taguchi, Inoue, Heat, and Tiger Mask fly over, hit some big strikes and long submissions, as they defeat Roderick Strong, Curryman, and the two young men who are still on tour after last week, John Walters and Vito Tomaselli. As this gets a 53, Vito gets a 33, Walters gets a 42, Curryman gets a 54, Roderick Strong gets a 54, Inoue gets a 48, Tiger Mask 4 gets a 54, Heat gets a 59, and Taguchi gets a 32. So solid stuff here. Just, your decent little 8-man tag to put Heat over a little bit, along with, Tiger Mask and Toru Inoue. Then we had Norton Nakanishi, now basically on their own, defeating the indie team of Adam Pearce and Fred Sampson in 10 minutes with Nakanishi pin Fred Sampson with Hercules Cutter. This gets a 56. Nakanishi gets a 59, Warren gets a 66, Sampson gets a 29, Pearce gets a 40. So Pearce is solid, Sampson still has some room to go. But yeah, just a solid little match here to put over Norton at Nakanishi. Then we have a bit of a blow off to a mini feud as, Yasuda and Yoshi were teaming up. Then Chono, basically made Yoshi an offer he can't refuse because of his, gambling debt gimmick, which is sort of his real life gimmick as well. So he's now part of New Japan Black. And Yoshi's not happy about that. There was a tag match, but Chono got the big win. And Yoshi got the big win, but now they face off in a actual one-on-one match to sort of blow this off. And Yoshi defeats Yasuda in 8 minutes with the back fist, as this gets a 28, because again, the pre-show penalty. And yeah, I probably should have put this lower on the card, but hey, again, sort of gotta deal with the stuff you have. As Yasuda gets a 42, Yoshi gets a 36, and Yoshi gets the big one here, and his in-debt gimmick gets a adequate. Okay, not fine. And then, it looks like Yoshida's going to get his revenge when out of nowhere, Norton and Nakanishi attack Yasuda from behind, help Yoshi up, and then, they raise Yoshi's hand. It looks like Norton and Nakanishi are now members of New Japan Black, as it's day 54. And yeah, basically part of this is Shibata got the big knee injury, so he'll be out for probably months. So we need some new members of New Japan Black, and Norton and Nakanishi were available, so here we are, as this gets a 54. And then, in a bit of a build-up to a possible tag feud, we have Minoru Suzuki defeat Mitsuo Nagai in 8 minutes by pinfall. This gets a 68. Suzuki gets a 69. Nagai gets a 58. Perfectly solid stuff. Just a strong win for Suzuki as he gets another big win here. Over one half of the tag champs. And then Ultimate Collection AT teams up with El Samurai as Liger's currently, Liger's working for All Japan tonight in a talent trade. But they team up against, Milano Collection AT and Koji Yamamoto, who attacked Ultimate Dragon. Of course, El Samurai is Liger's good friend. But here, Milano Collection AT and Koji Yamamoto pick up the win as Milano Collection AT pins El Samurai in a 64. Unfortunately, Ultimo and El Samurai don't have work well as a team, but still, El Samurai gets a 42. Ultimate Dragon gets a 56, Koji gets a 61, and Milano Collection AT gets a 63. Solid stuff, 64 overall. And then, Kodaka defeats Josh Barnett in a little over 10 minutes by pinfall. I might have mentioned this, but if I didn't, Barnett's leaving in a couple days. I thought maybe he would even leave before the end of the beginning of this tour. But so he gets to do some jobs on his way out. Kodaka pins him. They get 62. Barnett was, phoning in his performance, so he only gets a 52. But still a decent match here as Kodaka gets the big win over Barnett. And then we have a special tag match as Nagata teams up with the Legend Fujinami to get the win over the Nakamura Nishimura team. As Nagata pins Nishimura with the wrist clutch exploder. As Nakamura has some fun with Nagata and also some fun spots with the Legend Fujinami. But this gets a 69. Nice. Fujinami gets a 38 because he's old. Nagata gets a 77. Nishimura gets a 55. And Nakamura gets a 74. And then in our main event, of course, Tenzan attack Goldberg. And now that match is set up as the world title match for the near future. But now he has some backup in the form of course, Tanahashi and Blue Wolf as they take on American Muscle. And that American Muscle get the first big win as they defeat Tenzan, Tanahashi, and Blue Wolf in 10:47. When we takes a job, as Goldberg pins Blue Wolf with a jackhammer. This gets a 67. Animal gets a 62. Center gets a 47. Goldberg gets a 58. Blue Wolf gets a 49. Tanahashi gets a 77. And Tenzan gets a 53. So, not the worst match, not the best match either, but a solid little match to put American Muscle over. And overall, this gets us a 68. So there we go. See if there's any interesting news here. I also had some people to actual written contracts, just because because we dropped in size, there was some sniffing around by All Japan and such, so we had to lock some people down, which is unfortunate. Can I pay more money? But that shit happens. What can you do? Let's see here. Speaking, so yeah, Fujinami also, just came in for a couple nights. I guess we're going to have to lock friggin' Liger down, so yeah. Oh, no, wait, it's a handshake deal. Okay. I mean, honestly, that's fine. I like the idea of Liger as he wasn't really just wrestling around. I mean, he might get injured, but I'm not that too scared about that regardless. And yeah, we have the usual people taking MMA fights. Bob Sapp, who of course is basically just on the roster to like run out his contract. But yeah, so anyway, I'll be back in just a moment. Oh, let me just see what Liger did here on the show. He teamed both with Muda and Sakamoto to defeat Steve Williams, Gedo, and Takamura. Sure. 69. Okay, nice for them. But anyway, I'll be back in just a second with the next show on the tour that I decided you guys need to see, and you'll see that in just a moment. Alright, and welcome everybody to the 6th show of the tour. So yeah, I have a bit to show you guys. Basically, the big thing is, like, basically since there's 2 big shows on this tour, there's no point having like a bunch of like tour shows to set things up. And, honestly, just a little bit of like just getting this back in gear is also important, so why not? And also some news and such, so we'll just see what happens here. Anyway, if we go over the shows, this happened since I showed you the first show. So on night 2, in Kagoshima, we had Yoshi, Nakanishi, and Norton as members of the New Japan Black defeat Adam Pearce, Shawn Walters, and Yamamoto in a squash that got a 54 because, Norton and Nakanishi are really over. We had the Wild Dogs of the tag champs of Nagai and Kodaka and Yano defeat Nago, Seto, and Yoshi in a 49, and really just, ending that. Nakamura squashing Fred Sampson in a 58. We had Inoue, Heat, and Tiger Mask get a win over Takamura, Sugawara, and Taguchi in a 42. We had Curryman and Ryoto Chosen defeat Taiji Yoshimori and Oriku Norris in a 61, and a way to build up a title shot for the Americans. We had Nishimura defeat Josh Barnett in the first of Barnett's jobs as he goes out of the territory in a 54. Then we had El Samurai, Ultimo Dragon, and Jushin Liger defeat Kanemoto, Milano Collection AT, and Anzawa in a 63. Then finally in the main event, Tanahashi, Blue Wolf, and Tenzan defeat Steiner, Animal, and Mana in a 65. So then for day 3, we had Mana defeat Yamamoto in a 25. Then we had the New Japan Black team of Chono, Norton, Yoshi, and Nakanishi defeat Seto, Naruse, Ryoto, and Yasuda in a 54. We had Roderick Strong, American Dragon, and Curryman defeat Nego, Taguchi, and Vito Tomaselli in a 49. We had Yuji Nagata killing Adam Pearce in a 66. As Nakamura and Nagata both get to look strong, with Liger and Ultimo Dragon defeating Anzawa and Mono Collection AT in a 64. Then we had Nakamura and Nishimura defeating Walters and Sampson in basically a semi-squash in a 57. Then we had the American Muscle team of Rick Steiner and Robert Animal defeat Blue Wolf and Tenzan in a 58. Then we had Kanemoto defeating El Samurai in a 56. And then main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi sent Josh Barnett out of the promotion in a 68. Then, to begin the next week, in day 4, in beautiful Nagasaki, we had Yamamoto and Yasuda defeat Jitsun and Nego, and a win for Yamamoto as one of the young lions in a 32. We had Mana winning another quasi-squash, running over Naruse in a 31. And Roderick Strong, American Dragon Curryman getting another win over Fred Sampson, John Walters, and Vito in a 44. We had Ultimo Dragon defeat Akaya Enzawa in a 53. We had Nakamura defeating Pearce, then we had Fujita defeating Heat, basically to set up that, continue that little tag feud. Then we had Norton, Nakanishi, and Yoshi defeat the Wild Dogs of Nagai, Yoda, Yano, and Kodaka in a 60 as they get a big win over the tag champs. Then we had Koji Kanemoto and Shady defeat Liger and Samurai in a 63. Then we had Tanahashi defeat Rick Steiner in a 69. We had Ishimori and Minoru Suzuki teaming up to defeat Nagata and Tiger Mask 4 in a 76. An interesting way to build that up. Then in the main event, we had Blue Wolf and Tenzan defeating Goldberg and Animal in a 62 as Tenzan gets the big win here. And then finally, in the last show before this, in Kumamoto and Kishu, we had Mana winning a squash over Ryoto in a 27. We had Strong Dragon Curryman defeating Taguchi, Anzawa, and John Walters in a 49. And we had Nakamura and Nishimura defeat Pearce and Sampson in a 60. We had Suzuki, Shibata, and Fujita defeat Nago, Yamamoto, and Heat in a 57. And they're in Shibata's unofficial return as he's back from the MMA fight. Then we had Ishimori defeat Inoue in a 54. Then New Japan Black of Chono, Norton, and Nakanishi defeat the Wild Dogs of Kodaka, Nagai, and Yano in another big win over the half of the tag champs in a 62. We had Ultimo Dragon defeat Milano Collection AT in a 65 and a big win for Ultimo. And Tanahashi defeat Warrior Animal in a 63. In the main event, Tenzan Blue Wolf gets the big win over Bill Goldberg and Steiner. So there's a bit of news as basically, first, just because I was unaware of it, Nagata in El Samurai are working other TV shows, Nagata's working for Noah tonight, and so is El Samurai, which I'm gonna have to might have to fix that just so that doesn't happen again. But also, Liger got a concussion on the last match that you saw, so he'll be out for 25 days, which I think knocks him out for the for both this show for both the show in Kobe and the Big Dome show. So I'm basically sort of resetting that whole angle. So that explains some of the goofiness. Is I was going to do a Nagata and Babyface versus Nakamura and Nishimura match to sort of preview their big match at the at the upcoming big show in Kobe, and do a Liger basically do like a Liger and Ultimo versus Monaco Shinny Team Kojo to continue their feud and set up the big match for the Kobe show. But shit happens, unfortunately. What can you do? So tonight we're going to build some things up, set some things up, and just see what happens here. So we have a big show, so let's get rolling. As we start things out officially with Anzawa, Nagao, and Yasuda defeating Pierce, Sampson, and Walters. When Yasuda pins Front Sampson with Tiger Driver in a 30, Anzawa gets a 32, Nagao gets a 27, Yasuda gets a 45, Pierce gets a 40, Sampson gets a 28, Walters gets a 41. So decent match as, sort of the young indie guys get the, get their licks in, but, they're still, paying their dues here as the team of Yasuda and the young boys get the win here in a 30 to open things up. Then we had, in a about that decent round crowd, we had Inoue, Taguchi, and Heat, and Tiger Mask win an 8-man tag over Tomaselli, Strong, Dragon, and Curryman. Tiger Mask 4 pins Rock Strong with Tiger Suplex hold. This gets a 53. Taguchi gets a 30. Inoue gets a 48. Tiger Mask gets a 55. Heat gets a 51. Strong gets a 54. Curryman gets a 51. Danielson gets a 45 because he's injured, and Vito gets a 31. And, decent little match just to put over, the little threesome of Inoue, Taguchi, and Heat still. And then, in a quasi-squash, Norton and Nakanishi get the big win over Rito and Naruse in a little over 9 minutes with Norton pins and Naruse. This gets a 61. Nakanishi gets a 62. Norton gets a 65. Naruse gets a 49. And Rito gets a 38. Like, nothing too special here, just like, Norton and Nakanishi rolling over folks. And then we had in a match, basically figured out when I figured out that both El Samurai was gone wrestling somewhere else and Liger was injured. Koji and Milano get the win over Ultimo Dragon and Young Boy Yamamoto in 10 minutes when Kanemoto pins Yamamoto with Dragon Suplex hold. This gets a 59, Milano gets a 60, Koji gets a 58, Yamamoto gets a 32, and Ultimo Dragon gets a 62. Fun times. Solid match, especially with the Young Boy in it, but Milano and Koji gets a bit of a momentum boost as well. And then Goldberg and Rick Steiner get the big win over Ryoto Seto and Yoshitoku Yoshi, who I should not have put in this, but I forgot. Oops, my bad. That should have been somebody else. Oh well. This gets a 44. Steiner gets a 48. Goldberg gets a 57. Yoshi gets a 37. Seto gets a 32. And then Shibata and also Takayama, who of course was gone for his TV role, are both back, and they're both teaming up with Suzuki to take on the Wild Dogs in a big 6-man tag. And that gets a 54. And in the match, which gets a 66, Suzuki, Takayama, and Shibata get the big win over Kodaka, Nagai, and Yano when Shibata pins Toru Yano. This gets a 66, Shibata gets a 46, Takayama gets a 62, Suzuki gets a 72, Yano gets a 28, Nagai gets a 60, and Kodaka gets 63. And this does set up, even though it's been Norton Nakanishi mainly feuding him, that first in Kobe, it's going to be Takayama and Shibata getting a tag title shot against the Wild Dogs of Kodaka and Nagai. And then in a big match here, as Mana, who's been sort of rolling over people, gets a shot at the under 30 heavyweight title, and of course Tanahashi gets the win over him. Mana gets to look good, actually gets to throw Tanahashi around, but Tanahashi shows he's a 1 in a million, 8 possible ace as he gets the win here, hitting the high fly flow. Tanahashi gets a 76, Mana gets a 46. Totally decent match. Tanahashi goes over as he keeps his basically vanity title. Let's be honest here. And then Nakamura gets the win over Blue Wolf as just sort of a match, to give Nakamura something to do on the show, as Nakamura just beats up Blue Wolf and pins him in over 8 minutes. Just a quasi-squash to put Nakamura over. And then in a big match, Q sets up the Tenzan Goldberg title match. Tenzan beats Bill Goldberg in a little under 12 minutes with the Tenzan Tombstone Driver. I mean, would Animal have taken that? Who knows? But he gets the win here, as this gets a 59. Tenzan gets a 54. Animal gets a 57. And Tenzan's injury is still taking a big toll, but this is his big push. But post-match, Goldberg spears Tenzan, and the brawl is on to really set up the big match in Kobe of Goldberg versus Tenzan, as this gets a 63. And then in our main event, which is basically just set up, basically to draw some fans in, it's Chono, it's Sasaki, one more time. And after a very solid match, which, gets lots of heat, And it's still solid because these guys are getting a little older, but they're not over the hill yet. Chono gets a huge win with the Shining Izuka kick. And, 71, Sasaki gets 67, Chono gets 65. And, Chono's talking about, he wants something big for his, for his 20th anniversary. He wants a match that he can be proud of. When the video screen pops on, and it's Toshiki Kawada officially challenging Chono for his 20th anniversary match at the oh god, now I'm forgetting whichever dome I said earlier, in a very big match for Chono's 20th anniversary. So there we go. So yeah, let's get to 76, and that's the show. So yeah, so it's going to be Chono versus Kawada at the Dome Show, not the Dome Show, but the October Dome Show at Chono's 20th anniversary match. And that ends the show at a 69. So there you go. And yeah, I mean, basically the big matches, for this Kobe show is Goldberg versus Tenzan, Nakamura versus Nagata, basically causing a more contendership match. Now the tag title match of Takayama and Shibata versus the Wild Dogs of Kodaka and Nagai. And we'll probably have we'll probably have some sort of interesting tag match involving Tanahashi. And of course, the fun junior tag with stuff continues, but you'll have to see the rest when we get to it. So, Jimmy Snuka is opening a training school. I don't feel great about that. But yeah. Shit. Oops. I'm going to fix that, whichever way I can. I forgot I only signed him. I thought I had him for a 2 appearance contract to show up in. See, this is why you double check the things you're doing, and yeah, I am not a great. Yep, I'm not good at this sometimes. Anyway, hopefully I'll be able to fix that, or that's going to make that less a little bit ironic. But anyway, I'll be back in just a moment with the Big Kobe show, which is basically just basically a really huge house show, and the Big Dome show after that. All right, and now it's time for the Big Kobe World Hall show, as this is sort of a big show on itself, and also sort of a lead up to the Dome show in a couple weeks. So let's get rolling with that. But first, before we do that, let's go over the last couple shows. Of course, there's that show which you guys saw. Then on day 7, we had Anzawa, Naruse, Sato, and El Samurai defeat Adam Pearce, Fred Sampson, Vito, and John Walters in 8:33. Yoshi and Nakanishi of the New Japan Black defeat Yasuda and Ryoto in 8:49. Heat and Inoue defeat Takakamura and Suwara in 8:52 to build them up. Chono and Norton team up for the first time in a while to defeat Yamamoto and Nago in 8:56. Fujita defeating Tiger Mask 5 in a setup for the junior tag title match. Takayama and Suzuki defeat Nagai and Yano in 8:64. Kodaka defeat Shibata in a setup, to build up the tag match. Then we had Tenzan, Tanahashi, and Suzuki teaming up to defeat Steiner, Road, Animal, and Mana in 8:65. And the main event, Nagata and Blue Wolf team up and get a big win over Nakamura and Nishimura as we build up that big Nagata Nakamura match real quick. Then on the last build-up show, we had Yamamoto and Vito Sully defeating Nago and Teuchi in 8:28. New Japan Black of Yoshi, Norton, and Nakanishi defeating Pierce, Sampson, and Walters in 8:53. Kanamoto and Milano JT defeating Sugawara and Takamura in 8:57. And then Takayama defeating Nagai in a just total squash in 8:64. Tiger Mask 4 and Noe defeating Roger Strong Curryman in 8:55. Heat defeating Teiji Ishimori to build up the junior tag match. And then we had Goldberg, Mana, Animal and Steiner defeating Blue Wolf, Tenzan, Norusei, and Ryoto in a 656. And in the main event, Sasaki and Tanahashi team up to feature Shibata and Suzuki in a 74 to build up the Sasaki-Suzuki match. So, yeah, we've got, a few big matches here, so let's go over from the top. Goldberg versus Tenzan. Of course, Tenzan, showed up, and, as Nagata and Nakamura were, arguing over who would get the next title shot, Tenzan showed up and attacked Goldberg, setting that up. Then Nakamura and Nagata, of course, there we go. Nakamura is the former champion, and Nagata is a G1 winner, and they both won the next title shot. Suzuki versus Sasaki, of course, was supposed to happen at the last show, but Sasaki had a All Japan commitment, so now it's happening today. We have the tag title match of the Wild Dogs of Nagai and Kodaka facing Takayama and Shibata, as Takayama and Shibata, Shibata and Takayama both recently returned, and they basically, beat the Wild Dogs in a 6-man tag, setting up this match. We have a very special match, as since Liger is out injured, Ultimo Dragon has accepted to face both men in 2 singles matches right in a row. Then a special tag match, you have Tanahashi and Blue Wolf, the former tag champs, teaming up to take on Steiner and Rotor Animal. We have the junior tag title match between Heat and Tiger Mask versus Fuji and Ishimori, and then some undercard matches to fill things out as we're live from Kobe Hall, so let's get rolling. So first, in an undercard 4-way junior tag match, El Samurai and Taguchi defeat Anzawa and Yamamoto, Takamura and Sugawara, and Tom Selly and John Walters in 12 minutes. When El Samurai pins Anzawa, this gets a 33 because of the pre-show penalty. Yamamoto gets a 34, Anzawa gets a 30, Taguchi gets a 33, Samurai gets a 49, Sugawara gets a 35, Takamura gets a 47, Walters gets a 43, and Tomaselli gets a 34. So not the worst match for the undercard, but what can you do? And then we get going here as Yoshi, Morton, and Nakanishi get the win over Ryoto, Norusei, and Teo Yasuda in 9 minutes. When Yukita Yoshi gets another big win over Norusei with the back fist, he's getting better as a gimmick, and Nakanishi gets a 58, Norton gets a 65, Yoshi gets a 34, Yasuda gets a 49, Norusei gets a 50, and Ryoto gets a 34. So we'll see if, Yoshi actually gets anywhere, because I'm kind of trying to push him just to see what happens, but also, like I said, just see what actually happens here. And then in our first title match of the night, Heat and Tiger Mask take the title belts off of Fujita and Ishimori in a little over 13 minutes when Heat pins Fujita as they win the junior heavyweight tag titles. This gets a 64, Tiger Mask gets a 56, Heat gets a 62, Ishimori gets a 64, Fujita gets a 37. Back and forth, solidly, just strike fest as, Fujita and Ishimori have been sort of strikers. Heat and Tiger Mask were sort of built up as sort of more junior MMA style, more MMA style striking junior guys at the time. So fun little stiff match. But Heat and Tiger Mask 4 pick up the titles tonight. Then after that, Tanahashi and Blue Wolf get a big win over Rick Steiner and Rotor Animal in a little over 11 minutes when Tanahashi pins Steiner, says it was driven by Soul Blitz with the high fly flow. This gets a 71, and just a straightforward win to get Tanahashi more over and getting a big win here along with his partner Blue Wolf, as Animal gets a 56, Steiner gets a 50, Blue Wolf gets a 53, and Tanahashi gets an 82 because he's really good. And a big win for Tanahashi here at Kobe Hall. Then in a match which honestly isn't that great because they don't click, Ultimo Dragon basically pins Koji Kanemoto in a little over 11 minutes by hitting the side DDT. Back and forth match, but Kanemoto does the job here. Kanemoto also got a damaged shoulder because of course he did. As Kanemoto gets a 50, Dragon gets a 52. Back and forth match, but Dragon gets the win. And then following that up, Ultimo Dragon then pins Mono JT in back-to-back matches with the side DDT. This gets a 70 though, as they go all out in the little diamonds they have. But Dragon's ready and basically takes care, makes sure, when Mono JT makes one mistake, Ultimo Dragon picks up the pinfall victory and wins. But as he's celebrating, he celebrated the crowd when entering music hits, and the Great Suzuki shows up, basically via video to challenge Dragon for the Zone Dope show. So that gets a 59. And then for the tag titles match, in a bit of a shocker, Nagai and Kodaka actually defend the tag titles, defeating Takayama and Shibata in 13 minutes. When Asami Kodaka gets the big win over Shibata, Nagai and Kodaka keep the tag belts, and basically the announcers put this over as just both men are back from injury or being off time, so they weren't quite ready. As this gets a 70, Kodaka gets a 68, Nagai gets a 64, Shibata gets a 46, and Takayama gets a 66, but a big win as they actually make their first defense of the tag titles. And then in our first of our 3 big matches, Suzuki and Sasaki just beat the shit out of each other for 16 minutes. You can just imagine, it's just as a stiff as hell, clotheslines, strikes, power drivers, suplexes, lock and holds, but in the end, Kansuzi Sasaki picks up the victory, getting his revenge over Minoru Suzuki in a little over 60 minutes with the Northern Lights bomb. This gets a 75, probably our best match on the show, honestly. Suzuki gets a 76, Sasaki gets a 70, and a huge win for Kansuzi Sasaki. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, the reality is this should have been the main event, but I can't do it as the main event because Goldberg has the title. But hey, you do what you do. Hey, but, I mean, this is just, these guys just going all out after each other, 19 minutes of just fantastic fucking action. Nakamura does all his Nakamura stuff, Nagata does all his Nagata stuff, big lariats, big attempts at Bombayes, suplexes, strikes, takedowns, submission holds. But in the end, Nagata is able to hit Nakamura, with a few big moves in a row, and then hit him with a huge lariat, and then his finisher, 1, 2, 3, and Nagata picks up victory, and now Nagata walks into a title shot versus whoever wins the WGB title match, as it gets an 84. As Nagata gets an 83, and Nakamura gets a 77, and then in the main event, which is not going to be as good. I mean, honestly, not as bad as I thought it would. I was worried it would be. So Nagata had fantastic heat and decent wrestling. Goldberg and Tenzan basically, it goes a little under 10 minutes, and these guys, it's a very, finisher-heavy match. Tenzan going for his finishers, Goldberg tries to knock him down. Eventually, Goldberg hits a spear, hits a jackhammer, and picks the victory in a little over 10 minutes. This gets a 60. Goldberg gets a 52. Tenzan gets a 56. In post-match, there's a Goldberg-Nagata showdown to put over one of the big matches is now going to be Goldberg Nagata for the title, and also we have Chono versus Kawada, because I just got him back on a loan. I wanted the Suns to hopefully be a little more just booking, but hey, I'll bring him in as a loan and we'll go from there. And now it appears, Chono Kawada and Chono's 20th anniversary match, and Ultimo Dragon versus the Great Suzuki. And we'll have to see what else pops up. And overall, this show gives us a 73, so solid stuff. And we'll see if anything interesting pops up. Alright, let's see here. Calvin's back around because he was getting approached by All Japan. Let's see here. Tanahashi thinks Kodaka is good. Kanemoto's got damaged shoulder. Because of course he did. Because nobody can. So, quick note, titles. So, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Titles. After a solid, let's see here. So basically, this was just one giant feud between Fuyuji Ishimori and Heat Tiger Mask over the junior tag titles since August, but Heat Tiger Mask get the win and take the titles off. Not quite like the massive run I thought they would earn get, but Ishimori and Fuyuji have future here. Because it was still a couple months reign, so we'll have to see what that does from there. But I'll be back in a second with the Dome show, because it's the last two house shows are just set up for that, and we'll be back with that in just a moment. Alright, it's now time. Oops. Well, welcome to the beautiful Osaka Dome for Token Festival 2004, as we got a actually quite loaded card here, as we were able to write things in the last couple shows here. Set up a pretty big show, but let's go over the last couple build-up shows before we go over the card here. As on day 10, we had Mana winning squash over Adam Pearce, Ultimo Dragon defeating Keiwa Enzo in a 56, Nagai and Yano defeating Yoshi and Ryoto in a 51, Nakamura and Nishimura defeating Naruse and Yasuda in a 66, which is surprisingly good. Then Suzuki, Shibata, and Takayama defeating Nagao, Yamamoto, and Gucci in a 58, Inoue, Heat, and Tiger Mask defeating Fred Sampson, John Walters, and Mito in a 52, and Takamura and Sugawara defeating Kramer and Roderick Strong in a 54, Scott Norton defeating Asami Kodaka, reigniting this little feud for the tag titles. And then in the main event, Blue Wolf, Tanahashi, and Sasaki defeating Goldberg, Animal, and Steiner in a 71 to build up the Nagata Goldberg match, with the other baby faces of basically Team New Japan. And then in the last show for day 11, Mana defeated Fred Sampson, Ultimo Dragon Vito defeated Curryman Roderick Strong in 57, Osamu Nishimura defeated Shibata in a 55 to sort of set up a big tag match. Out of nowhere, Inoue and Ansel defeated El Samurai, Yamamoto and Taguchi in a 50. Nakanishi defeated Nagai in a 67 to continue that feud. Then Tanahashi defeated Bryan Danielson to retain the under 30 openweight title in 66. And then Tanahashi opponent for the Dome was officially announced. Also from All Japan, Naoya Ogawa, of course, who had the big feud, former Triple Crown champion and a bit of a scummy heel, but a guy who can really, get over, and we'll see what he does versus Tanahashi. Then Nakamura defeated Rick Steiner in a 71. And then Asami Kodaka and Yano defeated Norton Inoshi in a 57 to continue to build up for the tag title match. And then main event, Nagata and Blue Wolf defeats Goldberg and Animal in a 72. So again, to go over the show, we have Goldberg versus Nagata for the IWGP title. Nagata's basically like his G1, once G1, now he's getting his title shot. We have Chono versus Kawada in Chono's 20th anniversary match in a Battle of Two Legends. We have Tanahashi versus Ogawa, which got set up as I announced. Great Suzuki versus Ultimo Dragon, which you guys saw get set up. Then we have the Wild Dogs of Kodaka and Nagai defending against Norton and Nakanishi of New Japan Black. Of course, Norton and Nakanishi joined New Japan Black during this cycle, and now, got immediately into a feud with Wild Dogs. That got distracted for a bit when Kodaka and Nagai had to defend against members of the Shooters, but now this is going on today. Then we see Sasaki versus Takayama, as Takayama's, basically acting in Suzuki's stead for one more shot at Sasaki, as he's been with Minoru Suzuki for the last few months. Then we have basically a rematch for the junior titles, as he and tag match versus Fujita Ishimori one more time. Then we have a special tag match, Nakamura and Ishimori taking on Shibata and Suzuki in a big tag match. Then we have a 4-way junior tag, and we also have American Muscle versus Tenzan versus Blue Wolf, and an 8-man tag to start the show. So let's get rolling, live from the beautiful Osaka Dome. In front of what we have, 36,000. So we start with a 32, as this is a pre-show ding. But again, I know people told me to put this on the pre-show, but I like having this actual count. So in a title match, the young guns of Adam Pearce, Fred Sampson, John Walters, and Vito Tomaselli actually get a win over a team mainly comprised of young lions, as Akaya, Yasuda, Nagao, Yanoto in 10 minutes. When Adam Pearce pins Anzola with the rack palm, this gets a 32. Vito gets a 36, Walters gets a 44, Pearce gets a 39, Sampson gets a 27. Yamamoto gets a 32, Nagao gets a 28, Yasuda gets a 49, and Anzola gets a 31. So a little match here as put the, young Gaijins over in a big dome show and the opening match, just to give them a little bit after basically taking the falls for basically the whole time they've been here. Then we have a huge tag match as Tenzan and Blue Wolf. Of course, Tenzan, was going after the world title, and Blue Wolf, former tag champion, along with Tanahashi, both members of the New Japan Army, now continuing to go after the American Muscle. But in this one, Tenzan and Blue Wolf get a big win over Animal and Steiner, as Tenzan pins Animal with the Tenzan Tombstone Driver. Just a little bit to get Tenzan's momentum back after doing the job to Goldberg at the Kobe show, as this gets a 60, Steiner gets a 52, Animal gets a 62, Blue Wolf gets a 48, Tenzan gets a 51. They don't click, but as you can see, I don't really care about that, but still gets a 60, solid stuff. And then in the next match, which is a 4-way junior tag match, basically set up the next contenders for whoever the junior tag champs end up being. And it's a decent match, Koji Kanemoto and Milano Collection AT defeat Curryman and Roderick Strong, Takamura and Sugawara, and Taguchi and El Samurai. When Kanemoto submits Taguchi with the ankle hold, this gets a 60. Solid match again. Milano and Koji gets a little bit of, reset back into the junior tag division after that sort of honestly aborted feud with Liger and Dragger, and after what happened with Liger getting knocked out. We might go back to that, we might not, it all depends. Regardless, they get the win here, as Strong gets a 54, Curryman gets a 59, Milano AT gets a 60, Koji gets a 50, Sugawara gets a 42, Takamura gets a 49, El Samurai gets a 46, and Taguchi gets a 35. Solid stuff. And then, honestly, a match that should probably have been higher up on the card, and a good match, Nakamura and Ishimori get a bit of an upset win over Shibata and Suzuki, and a little over 14 minutes when Nakamura gets Shibata. Well, okay, he nails him with the Bombaye and actually gets a pinfall victory after basically Shibata almost tags himself in to go after Nakamura as the two young men go after each other. Nishimura actually almost had the pin after drilling Nishimura with a penalty kick, but Nakamura made the save at the last second. Things break down, but eventually Nakamura gets the pin over Shibata here in a little over 14 minutes, as this gets a 73, Nishimura gets a 62, Nakamura gets a 78, Suzuki gets a 77, Shibata gets a 49. Excellent chemistry for Suzuki and Shibata. Big one for Nakamura, Osamu here. Then post-match, Suzuki is yelling at Shibata, but Shibata pushes back at Suzuki and walks away from the ring on his own as Suzuki follows him. Now let's see what happens here. This gets a 41, because, yeah, I mean, it's an angle on New Japan show. What can you do? And then in a battle for the tag titles, Heat and Tiger Mask make their first defense over Fujita and Ishimori and basically end this feud that's been going on for the past few months, as Tiger Mask 4 pins Ishimori with the Tiger Suplex hold, ends it. It gets a 66. Tiger Mask 4 gets a 57, Heat gets a 62, Ishimori gets a 68, and Fujita gets a 43. Fun stuff. And then we have sort of like, in another really good match, Sasaki and Takayama just beat the crap out of each other for a little 14 minutes. Suplexes, stiff shots, lariats, backdrops, all that fun stuff. But eventually, Sasaki gets him in the Northern Lights Bomb and gets a huge victory over Takayama, pinning Suzuki and Takayama in basically only a few weeks after each other. And he has to be on a real hot streak going into the new year. As this gets a 76, Sasaki gets a 75, and Takayama gets a 66. So, backstage stuff, I forgot both of you get, I knew Sasaki was getting old, but I forgot Takayama was almost 40. So I was really going to give Takayama the win here, but since they're both old, give Sasaki, don't do a 50-50 book with him. Just give him the big wins over both guys and let him move forward off to something else eventually. And then we have the tag team title match. And, Kodaka and Nagai sort of got the upset to get the titles in the first place. Unfortunately, they run on against two big mean mofos in the form of New Japan Black's Norton Nakanishi. And Nakanishi is able to pin Nagai with Hercules Cutter and win the tag titles for New Japan Black, as this gets a 73. Nagai gets a 64, Takai gets a 67, Nakanishi gets 63, and Norton gets a 67. So that's a 73 overall. And honestly, this little run helped Kodaka and Nagai become solid mid-carders, upper mid-carders, and we'll see what they do in the new year, and of course in the tag league that's coming up. But, of course, and then we have our big match, as it's Great Suzuki versus Ultimo Dragon, and these guys are both getting a little older, so this is more like a Legends match-ish, but it's still two great workers. And after nearly 14 minutes of action, Suzuki, I imagine he hits a space flying Tiger drop and hits his finisher. Maybe it's Michinoku driver, maybe it's something else. But he gets a win over Ultimo Dragon in a little over 14 minutes. As this gets a 76, Suzuki gets a 75, and Ultimo Dragon gets a 63. So it's just a straightforward win for Suzuki here, nothing special. And then, in our next match, Tanahashi faces against Ogawa, and Ogawa, does his slimy heel, going for the quick roll-ups, going for the cradles, trying to, wait, is that Ogawa, or am I? I'm going to feel really bad if this is the shoot. No, that was, no, this is totally the guy, yeah. Sorry, I had a little crisis of faith there. But anyway, back and forth match, fun stuff, but in the end, Tanahashi continued his big run, getting the win over Ogawa here in a little under 15 minutes. 73 overall, Tanahashi gets an 80, Ogawa gets 73. Nothing, this is just a star versus star match. But in the end, Tanahashi gets the win. Another big win here for the under 30 heavyweight champion as he moves forward in his career in New Japan. Then Chono makes his entrance, which gets a 77. And it's time for Chono versus Kawada, which is either going to be fantastic or totally below. Okay, it's oof. Okay, I didn't realize Kawada had actually been hurt for the fit. Okay, so they're both have declining physical ability, which is okay. So this is basically 20 minutes of them playing all the hits. It's not a great match psychology, and people on the internet would, say it's not as good as they used to be, but, the fans and the audience, they friggin' love it because it's what they're coming to see. They come to see Chono doing Chono stuff, seeing Kawada doing Kawada stuff. They trade kicks, but eventually Kawada gets the big powerbomb on Chono, and in front of 35,000 to 6,000 people in Osaka, he gets a huge win over Chono in a little over 20 minutes, as this gets a 76, Chono gets a 73, Kawada gets a 65, and Kawada gets the win here. And then Kawada rolls out, celebration of the crowd, and as Chono is getting up, he's doing, he's playing to the crowd as he's about to head to the back. When Hashimoto's music plays, and out comes Hashimoto, and he challenges Chono for one more match between the two of them at Wrestle at Tokyo Dome on January 4th. So there's our sort of spectacle. Legends, old timers bring in the Laps fans match between Chono and Hashimoto. And then it's time for our main event, which I'm probably going to say is going to be a little bit lower, but Nagata's really good. So, okay, I'm doing guess here 72. Oh, shit, okay. I forgot Nagata is this freaking good. Okay, so this is, again, I don't dislike Goldberg like a lot of people do, because obviously I hired him, but, it's Bill Goldberg in 2004. He's a little limited, but Nagata pulls a great match out of him. Maybe not a great match, but a very good, very heated match, as the fans really want Nagata to get the pin. And he gets close a lot of time, but eventually the monster that Goldberg's been since he's arrived here in New Japan continues hitting the spear, hitting the jackhammer, making defense number 3 of his IWGP Heavyweight title as a 79, as Nagata gets an 84, Goldberg gets a 52, and as Goldberg is celebrating, out comes Hiroshi Tanahashi to officially challenge Goldberg for the Dome Show. Goldberg accepts, and there's your main event, Goldberg versus Tanahashi for the IWGP Heavyweight title. So first, Nagata, you're great. Let's see here. Who else did a lot better than I expected? Honestly, Ultimate Dragon, good job. And all things considered, this was also really good. So let's give it to Ishimori. There you go. There you go. There you go. We'll see if there's any weird news from this, and then that'll be it. Basically, it. Because we're in the middle of a month, so I don't want to quite go over the overness. I might go over the overness when we start the tag league. I'll do a quick check-in on Tanahashi to see if see what that's going at like. But I think I'll check our big guys, but that's about it. Okay, let's see here. The quad is gone. Oh, oops. Well. Okay, lone period. But I forgot. Okay, well. That's fine. Because I can get Hashimoto back, no problem. But a very fun show here. And yeah. Also, Survivor Series had Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon as the main event. And Triple H versus Rob Van Dam. And Orton versus Batista versus, of course, the third man in the match, the Hurricane. And Brock Lesnar and Undertaker versus Team versus Mick Foley and Rey Mysterio Jr. Oh, and Ken Shamrock and Scott Steiner as a team versus Chavo and Harder Holly. Jesus, that's some wacky team. Anyway, sorry. I just completely distracted by that stuff. And Big Show and A-Train have won the titles back. That's interesting. So yeah, that's it. Next up will be the Tag League, which will be interesting to set up. And of course, as part of the Tag League, we'll be setting up other stuff as far as the rest of the Dome Show. But, hope as long as I can get Hashimoto back, which I really hope. If not, I'll have to feign some sort of injury or something, at least in canon. But I'll figure it out. I mean, worst case, we can make a deal with 0-1 to set something up and bring him in. But regardless, that's it for now. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and like, comment below what you're liking and not liking. Of course, subscribe to the channel for plenty of TW 2020 content, such as this series, my ROH 2022 series with Cody Rhodes in charge, and of course, my long-running WCW series now in 2005, heading towards WrestleWar 2005. But that's for now, so talk later, and adios. Have a good one.